Hello again, everybody, and welcome to a very special episode 7 of Doc Watches Wrestling. Tonight, Doc watches Saturday night's main event, but let's be honest, we're not talking much about Saturday night's main event tonight. Tonight, and this episode is all about John Cena. John Cena had his last match. It finished up about 5-10 minutes ago, and I came straight in here to get the show recorded. So we're going to talk very briefly about kind of a nothing happening show outside of the main event. And then my hope and my goal here is to just talk about John Cena's career, the high spots, not every match, not, go in detail on really anything other than a few storylines here and there. But for the most part, we're just talking about the high spots of John Cena from 2002 until tonight. It's going to take a little bit, but I think we can get through it if we just focus on the important things, the big moments, the important storylines, the high spots. We'll get there. So bear with me. I think this will be entertaining. It'll be interesting just to kind of remember everything from all the way back as far as 2002. The growth, the failures, the misses, the hits. I think it'll be a good time. But for now, let's talk about this show, which, again, kind of a nothing happening show. Technically 4 matches outside of the main event. But Cody Rhodes and Obafemi. Cody Rhodes beat Obafemi by disqualification after Drew McIntyre interfered. Obafemi was dominating the match, and then Drew came out, kicked Cody, or beat up Cody, disqualification, then they beat up Drew. Soal Ruka beats Bayley with a reverse roll-up. Decent match. Soal Ruka's a real good athlete, so that was kind of entertaining to watch. Other than that, nothing much happening there. And then AJ Styles and Dragon Lee beat Jamal Evans and Leon Slater after a Styles clash after AJ Styles fell off the top rope trying to do his phenomenal forearm. Decent match. Evans and Slater, really good athletes. Lots of high-flying stuff. That was neat. But other than that, again, nothing happened. And this was a one-match show headed to the main event, and it was very clear all night. Lots of video packages. Too many video packages. But we were headed to John Cena. We'll get to John Cena later. I want to do everything kind of in order here. But so I'm not going to put the end at the start. But if you watch the show, you know what happened. I'm not dragging it out for a reason other than I just want to have everything in order. So let's talk John Cena. So for me, John Cena is probably 3 or 4 on my all-time favorites list. So as a kid, obviously in the 80s, it was Hulk Hogan, right? Hulk Hogan forever. It'll be Hulk Hogan until the day I die. I get it. Controversial. Lot that goes with Hogan. But from 1985 until, I'd say, 1996, 97, Hulk Hogan was it. So it's Hulk Hogan. And then it became Bret Hart. I was a big Bret Hart guy. As soon as Hogan kind of handed down that top spot, as soon as Bret steps in the Intercontinental title picture, it was Bret. I was a Bret Hart guy. And then, of course, it's The Rock for me. Even The Rock, even over Stone Cold. It was always The Rock for me. I was always a big Rock guy. Lately, nowadays, maybe not so much, but for years it was The Rock. And then in 2002, really, even in the bad plane outfits and nothing happening, it was John Cena. I was a John Cena guy. Never a Cena sucks guy. Never a boo Cena. Never a super Cena sucks. I was never that guy. It was always John Cena. Maybe towards the end, I was kind of over it a little bit, but during his heyday, from 2002 until even, 13, 14, I was a Cena guy. So that's where we're at. That's the guy that left tonight. Probably my 4th favorite wrestler of all time, retired tonight. So a big deal, big show. So I want to do this some justice and really kind of cover everything the right way. But so let's get right into it. I guess an abbreviated, not really abbreviated. I guess we'll see how long this video is. Story of John Cena. So everybody knows because they talked about it a million times on the show tonight. Cena debuts June 27, 2022. when Kurt Angle calls somebody out, he comes out in his tiny white shorts, says growls his ruthless aggression line, smacks Kurt Angle, almost pins Kurt Angle, but eventually does lose to Angle in his debut match, and he's off and running. That's it. That's kind of how we start. And then he wrestles Jericho once on Raw, I believe. And then he goes to July 21st, 2022 at Vengeance. He wrestles Chris Jericho, beats him with a roll-up, grabs onto the name Wacky Roll-Up Guy, if you've heard him tell the story. That was kind of his finish. His finish was a wacky roll-up. He didn't really have a finish other than that. And then he beats Chris Jericho in his first ever pay-per-view, which was a huge deal. In 2002, especially, Jericho just coming off of having been the undisputed champion. To have John Cena pin him on pay-per-view was a huge deal. And then 4 days later, on July 25th, I happened to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, at a SmackDown taping when John Cena takes on Test and beats Test. They're in, used to be Conseco Fieldhouse. I think it's Farm Bridge or something like that now. I don't live in Indiana anymore. I don't know exactly what the name of it is. But, so he beats Test right there, in front of me. That was my first kind of chance of being there as Cena competes. But so we're a couple months in, we're moving right along here, and I guess this, as legend goes, Cena's on the verge of getting fired. Isn't cutting it. Of course, he doesn't really have a gimmick, so he doesn't really have nothing for the people to grab onto. So they turn him heel, and he has a meaningless feud with Billy Kidman for a little while. And again, is just kind of meddling around mid-card, Velocity, those shows. Not really doing anything. And then, as legend has it, Stephanie hears him rap on the bus in Europe. Believe what you want out of that. But that takes us to Halloween 2022. The guy debuts in July. They're ready to fire him. And then by October, he's dressed up as Vanilla Ice for their Halloween party on SmackDown. And that's when we hit the ground running. We start with his tag team with Bull Buchanan, B Squared. He's wearing the funky mink hat for a while, doing that. But he's got the rapper Vanilla Ice kind of gimmick. And then he finds the more hard edge rapping gimmick. He's he's doing the freestyle stuff on TV. And they try to get a rap battle set up for him on WrestleMania 19 for the pre-show. I think they wanted Jay-Z or Fabulous to come rap battle John Cena. I can't imagine how bad that would have gone for Cena. But they wanted either Jay-Z or Fabulous to come rap battle John Cena at WrestleMania. Neither showed, so Cena comes out during the pre-show and cuts freestyle raps on Jay-Z and Fabulous cardboard cutouts. But really kind of gets himself out there, shows his talent, gets over with the fans by burying these rappers but the cardboard cutouts, and continues to grow, continues to build momentum, continues to grow as a character, and the crowd's getting behind him. After WrestleMania, Cena's working with The Undertaker. Of course, it's Biker Taker at the time, but he's working with The Undertaker. He's working a main event of a pay-per-view against Brock Lesnar. Now, he loses both of those matches, but he's working in these major spots. From almost being fired less than a year ago to now he's working Taker and Brock Lesnar in main event or high-end matches and holding his own. So it's a huge deal. Like, he's really coming into his own. The crowd's starting to get behind him. The boos are becoming more cheers, which of course will be reversed later, but the boos are becoming more cheers, and things are going well. He wrestles Kurt Angle at No Mercy on pay-per-view, and then at Survivor Series, he's on Team Angle. He's a good guy on Team Angle, and his team gets the win at Survivor Series with him on the team. So again, major steps forward for Doctor of Thugonomics John Cena with the rap gimmick. And if you watch the show tonight, as you saw on the show tonight, the throwback jerseys and the visors and the chain necklace and all that stuff, Huge deal. He's really starting to come into his own. Things are going well for John. And then we get to the Royal Rumble 04. We have moved right along. I mean, there's not a lot that happens, not huge momentum or not huge monumentous moments, but it's little things. He's growing. He's having these good matches with top names and getting over. And so he's working. He's getting better. He starts a program with the Big Show, I believe, just before the Rumble 04, teasing what will come at WrestleMania 20. But he has a good showing at Rumble 04. I believe it was Big Show that throws him out right before Benoit eliminates Big Show. But and then that sets up, of course, John Cena versus Big Show at WrestleMania 20. And in my opinion, having watched WrestleMania 20 several times, watched WrestleMania 20 live at Hooters in Springfield, Missouri, while I was waiting to leave to go to Hawaii for my first duty station. But I was in Springfield. All right, let's try again. So I'm in Springfield, Missouri, waiting to go to Hawaii on my first duty station. And I go to a Hooters there and watch WrestleMania 20 as I slowly shove my way inside. And I see John Cena start the show against the Big Show. And he beats the Big Show. And this is his, in my opinion, his big breakout moment. Like, this is his opening kind of rap to get everybody going. And he kicks off the show and is killer, wins the match, wins the U.S. title, and Cena is off and running. All forward momentum, onward and upward for Cena. Nonstop, we're going. I think it's pretty clear that maybe he's not the guy yet, but I think we're all signs are pointing to this is going to be a guy real soon, right after WrestleMania 20. It's at this point, John Cena does something that kind of gets him some jeers from the wrestling community. He takes that U.S. title and he turns it into a spinner belt. Now, everybody, if you remember 2004 time frame, 2003 time frame, people are getting the spinner rims on their car, on the tires. So Cena takes that, makes a spinner belt with the U.S. title, and that's it. That's the new U.S. belt for almost a year. That's the new U.S. title, is the spinner title. So, like it or not, that's what he did. It only gets worse later, but that's what he did for now. Cena holds the U.S. title till July when he loses it to Booker T. And then to regain the U.S. title, he has to compete with Booker T in a best-of-5 series of matches. A very good series of matches, if I remember correctly. But it goes to 5, of course, because it's pro wrestling. So, of course, it's going to go to 5. Cena beats Booker T at No Mercy to recapture the U.S. title for the second time. And then he drops it 2 days later to a debuting Carlito on SmackDown. And then for the third time, a month later, he wins the U.S. title back in November at Survivor Series, or just after Survivor Series. And then now we're pointed full steam. Like, Cena's a top star. Cena's a big guy, and we're going to go with him a long ways. It's just a matter of when now. It's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when. So then we get to the 2005 Royal Rumble, one of my favorite, just for the chaos that ensued, Royal Rumble 05. The last two guys in the ring are John Cena and Dave Bautista. Bautista, of course, still connected to Evolution at the time. Bautista goes to pick Cena up into his powerbomb. They lose their balance, and they go backward over the top rope, legitimately, not planned out. They both land on the apron and hit the floor at the exact same time. They did this on accident, better than Brett and Luger did it on purpose. They nailed this. Both guys hit the floor at the same time. The ref's trying to figure out what to do. Suddenly, Vince McMahon comes storming out, doing his hardcore walk. Both guys are back in the ring, and Vince goes to slide into the ring and promptly blows up both of his quads. Goes to stand up, immediately falls to the ground, so then he's sitting there like a petulant child, yelling at Cena, yelling at Batista, getting the referees back in order. Eventually, they restart the match. Vince is helped to the back to go have quad surgery, and Batista eventually eliminates Cena. Batista wins the Royal Rumble, but Cena's the runner-up. Again, another prime-time spot for the U.S. champ in John Cena as the runner-up of the Royal Rumble. Also, this just continues Cena's road. Okay, so he didn't win the Rumble. What's he going to do now? Where does he go from here? And that's the story. So with Batista, obviously, being Raw's winner, he's going to wrestle Triple H. Now we need a SmackDown winner. So they do a tournament. And Cena and Angle end up in the finals at No Way Out. Cena beats Angle at No Way Out in 2005. And so that sets it up. WrestleMania 21 is going to be John Cena versus JBL. But the problem is John Cena has the U.S. title. We have to get the belt off of John Cena. How do they do that? They have Orlando Jordan, who was JBL's right-hand man, beat John Cena and take the U.S. title, continuing that story as well, moving that forward. And then, of course, storylines, weeks go past, and we're at WrestleMania 21. In Hollywood, John Cena, I want to say second or third from the top, beats JBL to win his first world title. John Bradshaw Layfield lays down for John Cena at WrestleMania. John Cena wins his first world title. It's a quick match, like 9 minutes, I think, something like that. But they more than make up for it later when next month in a match that we'll talk about in a second. But JBL loses to John Cena. John Cena is the new champ. We go to Judgment Day the next month, and John Cena beats JBL in a brutal I Quit match. Blood all over his face, just pouring. It's a brutal match. He beats down JBL to the point where JBL has to say he quits. It's not a submission hold or anything. He just beats John Bradshaw Layfield up until he doesn't want it anymore. And John Cena not only wins the match, he's a certified tough guy, certified bad man, and is the world champion. It's here, just shortly after this, where Vince McMahon and the WWE try to corporate up John Cena. This is when the edge comes off of John Cena a little bit. He doesn't go full PG at this point, but he gets pretty close. This is the JBL is poopy era of John Cena. We're slowly moving towards the bulldog, the hustle, loyalty, respect. We're heading that way. We're moving away from the doctor of thugonomics. In fact, I don't know that he raps much more after this point until later, but we're moving to watered down John Cena. And the crowd's starting to notice, and they get a little irritated, as we'll talk about later. But at this point, come June of 2005, John Cena's the guy. Batista was supposed to be the guy. John Cena is now the guy. And they move Batista to SmackDown and John Cena to Raw in the draft as the number one pick. John Cena is the surprise number one pick. And they make the switch, which kind of immediately kickstarts John Cena into another feud with Chris Jericho, where he beats Chris Jericho at SummerSlam, and then he beats him again the night after when Jericho promises Bischoff if he can't win, he'll quit. And then after that, of course, John Cena wins. Chris Jericho leaves for the first time since signing with WWE in 99. He takes some time off and goes away for a couple years, I think. And then now we've got John Cena working with Kurt Angle, working with Shawn Michaels. In fact, he beats both of them in a triple threat match at a pay-per-view. Everything WWE can do, they're doing to make John Cena the man, and it's working. John Cena is the merchandise is flying, everything is working great. John Cena is the man. So now we're headed to January of 2006, where John Cena wrestles in an Elimination Chamber match. I want to say Carlito, Chris Masters, Shawn Michaels, Kurt Angle, I think were the other guys in the match. And John Cena wins the match. Not a huge surprise because we were right about Super Cena time at this point. But Cena wins the match. The match is, the cage is lifting. The match is pretty much over. Vince comes out and announces that there's one more match. Edge comes out with his brand new idea of a Money in the Bank contract and gives the contract to Vince. Edge comes down, spears Cena, pins him. Edge is the new world champion, and John Cena has a brand new feud ready-made, ready to go. So we go, of course, we get some special stuff on TV from Edge, and then we get Cena Edge, the rematch at the Royal Rumble, and Cena beats Edge. This is kind of where things start to get a little bit questiony for John Cena, because people are like, hey, Edge just won that title. He didn't have it 3 weeks before you took it off of him. People weren't thrilled about that. Now, granted, they needed Cena champion at WrestleMania, but Edge being champion, people really liked. And getting the belt back on Cena so quick, people weren't crazy about. And this kind of starts to turn some of the fans, internet wrestling community, hardcore fans, things like that, against John Cena. Me personally, Cena beat Edge, he got the belt back, I was thrilled. I didn't care. But a lot of people, a lot of smart fans, a lot of people who think they know more than me about wrestling were not happy about the fact that John Cena beat Edge and got the belt back at the Rumble. Fast forward now, Cena beats Triple H at WrestleMania 22, which, again, listening to the crowd was an absolute disaster for the WWE PR team because Chicago was not having John Cena that night. Everything Triple H did was a big yay. Everything John Cena did was a big boo. Of course, eventually Cena taps Triple H out, but the crowd is really, the worm is starting to turn on John Cena with the crowd. But Vince McMahon doesn't care. Boom all you want to. John Cena is our guy. We're going forward with John Cena. In fact, so much so, at Backlash, a month later, John Cena not only beats Triple H, he beats Edge. Triple threat match, beats them both just to knock them, let you know, hey, we're going with Cena. We're keeping it this way. Then we fast forward to, now we're in June. We're at the second One Night Stand pay-per-view in Philly at the ECW Arena, whatever you want to call it. RVD, after giving notice, I want to say 2 or 3 weeks prior, he was going to cash in his Money in the Bank contract that he won at WrestleMania 22. He's going to cash that in on John Cena at the One Night Stand pay-per-view. Basically, super home court for Rob Van Dam. Of course, we go to the match. This is where the idea of the Cena wins, we riot came from. These were the first guys to do that. Big white sheet hanging over the banner. Cena wins, we riot. Cena comes out playing the heel, understanding he's in foreign territory here. Throws a shirt out to the crowd, they throw it back. Throws a shirt out, they throw it back. Eventually, Rob Van Dam wins. Some questioning circumstances, helmeted Edge comes out, spears Cena through a table, and then referee Paul Heyman makes the 3 count. But either way, it stands. Rob Van Dam is both the ECW and WWE champion. First time anybody's done that. Not that it really matters because ECW was owned by WWE, so it's all the same thing. And then we get a 3-way program between Rob Van Dam, Edge, and John Cena. Bunch of matches back and forth. And then eventually, Edge beats Rob Van Dam and John Cena in a triple threat match on Raw after Rob Van Dam gets arrested for marijuana with Sabu in the car. So Rob Van Dam is suspended. Edge is the new world champion. And now we're right back to Cena Edge, the feud. So we go to SummerSlam in Boston, SummerSlam 05 in Boston. And SummerSlam 06 in Boston. Edge cheats, but he beats Cena in Boston. And then we go to Unforgiven, which is in Toronto. So Edge beat John in John's hometown. John now wrestling Edge in Edge's hometown. Of course, it's a terrific TLC match, brutal TLC match. But as you can see, John Cena, FU at the time, but attitude adjustments. Edge off of a ladder through some tables, grabs the title in a TLC match, and wins back the world title yet again. And then we get a Champions 3-way match at Cyber Sunday between Booker T, Big Show, and John Cena. And Booker T wins the match after Kevin Federline. Remember Kevin Federline? Britney Spears' first husband. Kevin Federline interferes in the match because WWE is nothing if not on top of these A-list celebrities having them on their show, especially in like 04, 05, 06. Kevin Federline interferes and cost John Cena the match. Kevin Federline would even later go on to beat John Cena on a New Year's Day Raw, which infuriated me. I thought that was the dumbest thing ever. But we move on to Survivor Series, where John Cena's team of 5 beats Big Show's team of 5. And that takes us to the Royal Rumble, where Cena wrestles kind of his first unstoppable monster. This, again, we are full Super Cena time frame here. But Cena beats his first unstoppable monster in Umaga. Beats him in a last man standing match. Sorry about that. Beats him in a last man standing match after choking him out with the rope. And the unstoppable monster thing is well on its way, as you will see as we go. So So after beating Umaga at the Royal Rumble, we go to WrestleMania 23, where the runner-up from the Royal Rumble, Shawn Michaels, has earned a world title match at WrestleMania 23. John Cena versus Shawn Michaels. This is another one of those cases where yours truly got to be in attendance. Myself, along with little brother Big Fat Rick, who we've talked about before, my best buddy Luke, and another friend of ours, Phil, got to be there. Seats weren't great, but we got to be there. We got to see John Cena, Shawn Michaels, and of course Undertaker Batista, which was the other world title match that night. Cena Michaels had a great match there in Detroit. Cena beats Shawn Michaels, tapping him out in the middle of the ring. And show overall, especially looking back at it now, isn't great, but those two matches are really terrific. So big wins there. They do a rematch of this match a few weeks later in London. The match goes like 50-some minutes, I think, on an episode of Raw. Takes up majority of Raw and is a terrific match. Much better than the match at WrestleMania 23. And the WrestleMania 23 match was good. But it's a much better match. And Michaels wins this time. It's a non-title match, but Michaels wins, which makes room for Michaels to win. And that's it. They just kind of let that be. But John Cena wins a 4-way match at Backlash the next month or two, beating Edge, Orton, and Michaels in a 4-way. And then going into the summer, we do an angle with new unstoppable monster, the Great Khali, where he beats John Cena up and just takes his belt. He just steals his belt, which of course puts never back down, unstoppable Super Cena in a mode of, I'm going to fight you, I'm going to beat you, even though you're bigger and stronger, I'm going to win. And going into One Night Stand 07, that's exactly what happens. In a last man standing match, I believe it was, John Cena, attitude adjustments, FUs, whatever you want to call it, the Great Khali off the stage and beats the Great Khali. Again, Super Cena, unstoppable Cena, full mode here. Now we're at Vengeance 07. Vengeance 07 in July of 2007. A very memorable date for myself, for a lot of wrestling fans everywhere. But John Cena beats Bobby Lashley, Booker T, Randy Orton, and even, yes, Mick Foley in a title in to retain the title in a 5-way. I only mention this match. It's really kind of a nothing happening match overall. Cena wins a 5-way. Who cares? But this was the night Chris Benoit no-showed the show. Why did Chris Benoit no-show the show? Because Chris Benoit was already dead, having murdered himself and his family. So yeah, there's that. Moving on. Great American Bash next month. John Cena beats new unstoppable. Okay, let's go again. So fast forward to the next month, Great American Bash. Bobby Lashley beats yet another unstoppable force. John Cena beats yet another unstoppable force in Bobby Lashley. Pins him clean after an AA off the top rope. Then we go to SummerSlam. John Cena beats Randy Orton at SummerSlam. Now we can fast forward to No Mercy 07. We are in, I believe, October of 07. And we're setting up for yet another John Cena Randy Orton match. This time it's going to be a last man standing match. And the Monday before No Mercy 07, John Cena tears his pec. In a match with Mr. Kennedy, he tears his pec. They do an angle where Randy Orton lays him out, but the next night on the ECW show, Vince McMahon announces Cena's out. The title is vacant, so they go to No Mercy. Eventually crown Randy Orton as champion. And Cena's going to be out, they said, 6 to 8 months. So now we fast forward to Royal Rumble 2008. Royal Rumble 2008, I am in Iraq. It is about 3 o'clock in the morning. I have turned on the Royal Rumble. I've paid for it through the new up and running WWE streaming service through WWE.com on the terrible internet that I was using at the time, very barely functional internet. And I'm watching through very buffery, very crappy feed. I'm watching John Cena show up at number 30 to eventually win the Royal Rumble. Now, mind you, it's like 3 in the morning. It's January in Iraq. It's cold. I'm sitting in a chair, covered up, bundled up. I'm outside to get the best signal. And I'm watching John Cena win this match. And I am doing everything I can not to completely lose my mind because it's 3 a.m. and nobody wants to hear about me cheering about fake wrestling. So I'm trying to be very quiet, but I'm watching John Cena win the Royal Rumble. And it was great. It was a great moment, something I'll remember forever. Sitting in the freezing cold in the desert in January, watching my first pay-per-view, watching Cena win. Terrific memory. And for some reason, John Cena decides to cash in his Royal Rumble win, which you can't do. Nobody does that. But John Cena decides to cash in his Royal Rumble win at No Way Out in a match against Randy Orton for the world title, which Randy Orton intentionally gets disqualified in, leaving John Cena high and dry. Now what? Well, John Cena eventually earns his way into a triple threat match with Randy Orton and Triple H at WrestleMania 24, where Orton punched Triple H in the head and pins John Cena. So Randy Orton holds the belt, keeps the belt through WrestleMania, which was not expected at all. And we move forward. What's next for John Cena? So now we go to, this is just pay-per-view TV for John. He even loses again at Night of Champions in 2008 to Triple H. Triple H was world champion at the time after having beat Randy Orton. He loses a parking lot brawl at JBL at the Great American Bash. Also, this is also kind of the point that Vince McMahon realizes, hey, John Cena can lose and it's not going to hurt him. Like, he doesn't have to win all the time, but you can make the argument John Cena loses too much during this time. Matches he probably shouldn't have lost, but they just kind of, you almost say, I guess they felt like they had to balance it out. I don't know. But Vince discovers that Cena can lose and it won't kill him. But don't worry, that won't last very long because it is Vince McMahon. Batista beats John Cena at SummerSlam. And then outside of like 2 or 3 house shows that week, that's it for Cena for a while. Cena's got a herniated disc in his neck. And he goes off to let that heal. I believe he had minor surgery. But so after SummerSlam, Cena's out till Survivor Series when he comes back and he beats Chris Jericho for the World Heavyweight title, the big gold belt that they had at the time. And then he beats Jericho again at Armageddon. He beats JBL at the Royal Rumble 09. And then he loses the title to Edge again in Elimination Chamber when Edge inserts himself after having lost his title previously. He inserts himself in the match and beats John Cena. Or beats somebody. Cena got eliminated early. I think he beat Rey Mysterio for the World Heavyweight title. So Cena, again, kind of back at the bottom. But what that does is allows for a story to develop between Edge, Big Show, and Cena over Vicky Guerrero, but kind of just, Cena wanting a world title shot, which leads to a triple threat match at WrestleMania 25, once again, one that yours truly was at. My welcome home from Iraq, I guess you could say, gift was a buddy of mine and I went to Houston, Texas from Virginia and watched WrestleMania 25. Again, seats weren't great, but we watched WrestleMania 25. Got to see Michaels Taker, got to see that terrible main event of Triple H, Randy Orton, just a quiet, dead main event. And then, of course, Cena beats Edge and Big Show to win yet another World Heavyweight title. Although Cena does the very next month immediately lose it to Edge after Big Show interferes in a last man standing match and throws Cena through a spotlight, which was quite the thing. And that actually develops a story of John Cena's too hurt to be here, like too hurt to show up, too hurt to wrestle for a while story. But he does recover, beats the Big Show again in June, beats the Big Show again in June. Beats the Big Show at Judgment Day in May, and then beats him again in June in a submission match. And then we can fast forward to SummerSlam 09, when Cena loses to Randy Orton. He went for the WWE title, and Randy Orton beat him. And then we go to Breaking Point, another one of the kind of random 9, 10, 11 year pay-per-views that WWE was trying to do. Breaking Point, the main event in a submission, I Quit submission match, whatever you want to call it. John Cena, Randy Orton for the WWE title. Randy Orton brutalizes John Cena for a while, but eventually, of course, never quit. John Cena comes back, makes Randy Orton tap out, and becomes the new World Heavyweight Champion. That takes us to a 60-minute Iron Man match at Bragging Rights, yet another one of those B or even C level pay-per-views they had in 09, 10, 11. And 60-minute Iron Man match, and John Cena beats Randy Orton again. At Survivor Series, John Cena beats both members of DX, the yet again reformed DX, Shawn Michaels and Triple H. beats them both at Survivor Series. And then we get to December, and in a bit of a shocking turn, December 2009, Sheamus, out of nowhere, Sheamus beats John Cena in a tables match to become the new WWE champion. And then it's, for the next couple months, it's John Cena trying to beat Sheamus and failing. John Cena can't beat Sheamus. And that was it. And then until we get to Elimination Chamber. We get to Elimination Chamber in February. Cena finally wins the World Heavyweight title the WWE title back in an Elimination Chamber. And immediately afterward, Vince comes out with somewhat newly healed Dave Bautista. Tells Cena he's got to wrestle Batista right then and there. Of course, Batista squashes Cena because he just wrestled in an Elimination Chamber match. So Dave Bautista is the new World Heavyweight Champion. And that moves us to WrestleMania 26. WrestleMania 26, John Cena beats Dave Bautista in an okay match, semi-main, because of course they weren't main eventing over Taker Michaels' retirement match. But and then for the next 2 months after that, John Cena beats Dave Bautista in the main event of pay-per-views. A last man standing match and then an I Quit match, I believe. And then we move to June of 2010, and we get the beginning of the Nexus storyline. One night on Raw, John Cena and CM Punk wrestling in the main event. The Nexus team, who are the members of the brand new NXT reality competition series that WWE was doing on Sci-Fi, replacing the old ECW show. And all members of the Nexus, including one Daniel Bryan, show up. They beat down Cena. They beat down CM Punk. They wreck shop all over. They tear up the ring. Raw ends with the arena just kind of in tatters, and Nexus standing tall over John Cena. And then, so they've beat down the World Heavyweight Champion. But Cena loses the belt back to Sheamus in June in a 4-way match. Because right about this time, Vince got a real hard-on for Sheamus. Not real sure why, but that's what happened. Of course, it's all kind of revolving around the Nexus story. Nexus causing John Cena the belt. Nexus keeping John Cena from the belt. All those things. 1 week on Raw, the Nexus beats John Cena 6-on-1. Not sure why they even did that match, but that's what happened. They cost him the world title in a cage match at Money in the Bank. And then we get to the story of the big 7-on-7, I believe it is, SummerSlam main event. Team Cena, which was Edge, Jericho, R-Truth, John Morrison, Bret Hart, and Daniel Bryan, along with John Cena, I believe, and then the Nexus. I couldn't possibly tell you right now off the top of my head who all of the Nexus members were because half of them no longer mattered. But it was kind of expected that the Nexus would win the match because that's what people figured was supposed to happen. Like this brand new heel group who is dominating and is great to push these young talent, they need to win the match. Well, that's not what happened. It got down to 2-on-1. It was David Otunga and Wade Barrett, I believe, against John Cena. Kind of have a new heel stable group, very strong, young talent. Maybe they should go over the big guys, but that's not what happens. Cena beats Wade Barrett and David Otunga there at the end, eliminates them both to win the match. Everybody was kind of stunned. Again, people didn't think it was the right thing to do. Cena won. That's all that mattered to me. I was thrilled. John Cena won. We're good to go. But this is kind of the end of Nexus meaning anything. They do a few teases. They have John Cena join Nexus for a little while, which adds some intrigue to the story. But Cena doesn't really play it right, so it doesn't really do what it was supposed to do. And then eventually it ends up with John Cena versus Wade Barrett in a tables or ladders match or chairs match or something like that at TLC, where Cena literally pulls down a stack of chairs and just buries Wade Barrett and wins the match. And that completely ends that storyline. Then we move to the Royal Rumble in January, the first and only 40-man Battle Royal, or 40-man Royal Rumble in 2011. And Cena makes it to the Final Four, only for The Miz to illegally jump into the ring and dump Cena, which never made any sense to me. If you're not in the match, how can you eliminate somebody? But it's wrestling. You can't question the rules too much. But The Miz interferes and eliminates Cena, which allows us to move forward in the story. So we're a Rumble. Now we're moving to the Monday before Elimination Chamber, where they announced there's going to be a special guest host of WrestleMania 27. The big news is the guest host of WrestleMania 27 is The Rock. The Rock comes back. Of course, that night The Rock comes back and cuts kind of a scathing promo a little bit on John Cena. So immediately setting your sights on Rock and Cena. But of course, also storyline looks like we're headed to Cena Miz. So some question there. But at the Elimination Chamber 6 days later, John Cena wins the Elimination Chamber to earn the number one contender spot against The Miz at WrestleMania 27. So now we're off and running to WrestleMania with John Cena, The Miz, and The Rock all in the main event picture. But most of the attention, of course, is John Cena and The Rock going back and forth in promos, hollering at each other, making fun of each other, mocking each other. And as, again, like I shared at the beginning, big Rock fan, huge Rock fan, thrilled to see him back, but also a John Cena guy. So it was great for me, but at the same time, The Rock's coming off like a bully here. This isn't like The Rock's better. The Rock's just making fun of John Cena. John Cena has legitimate points, talks about The Rock being gone, promising he'll stay and all those things, but The Rock's just making fun of Cena's shirts. So it was really kind of weird, a weird dynamic there. But we go to WrestleMania 27. In my opinion, I'm going to say top 3 worst WrestleManias of all time. WrestleMania 27. And it's probably not close with a lot of the others. It's a worst terrible WrestleMania, terrible main event. Cena and The Miz, it was clunky, it was bad. They teased a double count-out finish in the main event of WrestleMania, which was ridiculous. Of course, The Rock then comes out and makes it no count-out, no DQ, whatever. And then Rock bottoms John Cena, and The Miz wins the main event of WrestleMania and leaves WrestleMania as the world champion. It's terrible. It's the worst WrestleMania, one of the worst WrestleManias ever. And then we move to the night after WrestleMania 27 with the big announcement, kind of to start the show. WrestleMania 28 will be headlined by John Cena and The Rock. First time they've done this, year out, we're announcing the main event. We've got a year to plug it, year to figure it out. John Cena and The Rock, WrestleMania 28 main event. I was thrilled. So excited. And we're off and running with that. And then we go to Extreme Rules the next month, where John Cena beats John Morrison and The Miz in a steel cage match to regain the world title. Why couldn't John have just won the WrestleMania main event? I don't know. But he does get it back from The Miz, and that nightmare of The Miz being world champion is over for now. He beats The Miz and Alex Riley together in an I Quit match at Over the Limit 2011, another one of those B shoved-in shows. And then let's fast forward to Money in the Bank 2011, where after, of course, the very famous pipe bomb promo, CM Punk wrestles John Cena in Chicago for the World Heavyweight Championship, for the WWE title, and he beats him. Of course, at the time, the storyline was he didn't have a contract. He had resigned, of course, but so CM Punk takes the belt and leaves. They need a new champion, so they do a small tournament, couple-week tournament. Rey Mysterio wins the tournament, but the caveat to the tournament is the winner will be world champion, but he has to defend immediately against John Cena, which on Cena's part seems dirty, but whatever. Cena beats Rey, and then very shortly after Cena wins, CM Punk returns, new music, new look, and we get to face off with both belts held high in the ring, Cena and Punk, and we are headed to SummerSlam, where the main event is John Cena and CM Punk to unify the World Heavyweight title with special guest referee Triple H, because why not? And of course, with some shenanigans, CM Punk beats Cena. I think, if I remember right, the Triple H didn't see Cena's foot on the rope or something, if I remember right. But so CM Punk is the new world champion until Kevin Nash comes out, powerbombs Punk, and then Alberto Del Rio comes in, cashes in his Money in the Bank contract, and Alberto Del Rio leaves SummerSlam the World Heavyweight Champion. Sure, why not? Cena loses the last man standing match to Del Rio later on in the year. at Vengeance when The Miz and R-Truth cost John Cena the match. The Miz and R-Truth teaming together. All this does is set up John Cena needing a partner for a main event match at Survivor Series. John Cena's partner of choice for the main event at Survivor Series is The Rock. Didn't understand it then, don't understand it now. They're supposed to be feuding. They don't like each other, but The Rock's the only guy that can help. Whatever. So it's The Rock and John Cena against The Miz and R-Truth in an all-time main event. But, of course, surprise, surprise, The Rock and John Cena win. And then right after Survivor Series, The Rock goes away again. And then we are basically just in a holding pattern for Cena until WrestleMania after Survivor Series. He wrestles Kane a couple times. And then, like Extreme Rules matches, Royal Rumble, whatever, it's Kane for a couple months until we get to WrestleMania. And then at WrestleMania 28, and what I thought at the time was a real surprise, The Rock beats John Cena. Pins him clean in the middle. At the time, I was really surprised because I was like, he's a part-timer. Why are we having The Rock beat John Cena? Of course, as the story goes later on, it kind of makes sense. But, so The Rock beats Cena, and we move on to the night after WrestleMania when, at the end of the show, Brock Lesnar shows up, jumps John Cena, and that sets up the Extreme Rules 2012, where John Cena beats Brock Lesnar. Brock Lesnar returns from, an 8-year absence in WWE, and then immediately loses his first pay-per-view match to John Cena. Again, made no sense. Big John Cena guy, but made no sense. Brock Lesnar should have won that match. I stand firm on that. But they had Cena win. It is what it is. And then we fast forward to May at Over the Limit, where John Cena loses a match to, at the time, Raw General Manager John Laurinaitis when the Big Show interferes in the match. So now we got John Cena losing to office personnel. So that's where we're at. Dumb. But John Cena does get his revenge on the Big Show in June when he beats him in a cage match. Cena then wins Money in the Bank in July in a Money in the Bank match that was only former world champions. I think it was Jericho, Kane, and a few others, or Jericho, Kane, John Cena, maybe one other. But John Cena wins Money in the Bank. And then, so then he announces the cash in. He announces the cash in just before Raw 1000. He tells Punk, in 7 days, I'm going to challenge you for the world title at Raw 1000. So during the match, Cena kind of hasn't won, and then Big Show interferes because Big Show, of course. The Rock comes down to make the save to help John, and CM Punk turns on The Rock. CM Punk turns heel during this match, kind of a big to-do with Rock and Show and Cena and Punk. And Cena turns heel, of course, eventually would join with Paul Heyman. Punk turns heel, would eventually join with Paul Heyman. Cena comes up short in a triple threat match at SummerSlam when Punk beats both he and Show. Punk beats Cena and Ryback at Survivor Series that November. This is, of course, the debut of The Shield. And then we really start the path to get us to Cena Rock 2 at WrestleMania. So John Cena wins the Royal Rumble in 2013. And the very next match is The Rock versus CM Punk for the world title. And CM Punk beats The Rock. I'm sorry. The Rock beats CM Punk. And so they rematch at Elimination Chamber, and The Rock beats CM Punk again. So we are now dead set. The Rock and John Cena to WrestleMania 29. That's where we're headed. And it wasn't as good. The promo battles weren't as good. The setup wasn't as good, but that's where we're headed. WrestleMania 29, New York City. John Cena beats The Rock to become the WWE champion yet again. The night after WrestleMania, Ryback turns on Cena to set up a program there. And for the next 2 pay-per-views, 3 pay-per-views even, I think, one goes to no contest, and then 2 straight of Cena beating Ryback, and then Ryback's pretty much cooked after that. That takes us to SummerSlam. John Cena beats... Daniel Bryan beats John Cena. I'm sorry, I will get this right. Daniel Bryan beats John Cena in a terrific match with, once again, Triple H, the special guest referee. And after the match, Triple H turns on Daniel Bryan. Randy Orton cashes in his Money in the Bank contract, and Randy Orton is the new world champion. So after he loses to Daniel Bryan, Cena's off for a couple months to go film a movie. He comes back and immediately beats Alberto Del Rio to win yet another heavyweight title at Hell in a Cell. He beats Del Rio again at Survivor Series. And then we get the title unification match to crown an undisputed heavyweight champion at Tables, Ladders, and Chairs in December of 2013, where Randy Orton beats John Cena in a ladder match to become the face of the company and all that, and he is the new world champion. And then we go to the Royal Rumble, where John Cena gets eliminated by... John Cena loses to Randy Orton in the world title match when the Wyatt family interferes. And the Wyatt family, of course, is moving us forward to WrestleMania 30, where John Cena and Bray Wyatt go head-to-head. And in another match that should have gone the other way, I think, John Cena beats Bray Wyatt at WrestleMania 30. Shouldn't have happened that way. Bray Wyatt should have beaten John Cena, but that's not what we get. Cena beats Bray, but the next month, in a cage match, Bray beats John. Why couldn't it have gone the other way? I don't know, but that's what happened. And then John Cena wins the rubber match at Extreme. John Cena wins the rubber match at Extreme Rules when he wins the Last Man Standing match. So now let's move on to Money in the Bank 2014. After Daniel Bryan has been injured with his neck injury and concussions and is out for a while, John Cena wins the vacant Money in the Bank ladder match or World Heavyweight title ladder match to become yet again the World Heavyweight Champion. This time he's the undisputed champion with the 2 titles. He beats Kane, Orton, Roman Reigns at Battleground to retain. That sets up like Triple H is like desperate to get the belt off, so he makes a deal with Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman for Brock Lesnar to wrestle John Cena at SummerSlam. And Brock Lesnar wrestles John Cena at SummerSlam, and Brock Lesnar squashes John Cena at SummerSlam. Absolutely decimates him. This is one of the rare times that they allow Cena to just get manhandled, and I think it's only because it's Brock Lesnar. But Cena just gets squashed here, and it was great. I remember that specific, just being this is a great story. This is very well done. Of course, Brock had just beat The Undertaker at WrestleMania to break the streak, so this needed to happen, and it's exactly what happened. Cena gets a rematch at Night of Champions, but wins by DQ after Seth Rollins interferes. And then Cena beats Orton in a number 1 contenders match at Hell in a Cell. We move to Survivor Series. Survivor Series is Team Cena against Team Authority. I can't possibly remember who was on these teams because it doesn't matter. But I do remember that Team Cena wins, but it's not Cena that wins. Dolph Ziggler wins for Team Cena when Sting makes his big debut in WWE at Survivor Series, shocking everybody, and helps Ziggler win, and of course set up the Sting Triple H match at WrestleMania 31, which was a debacle. But Ziggler's win does for a while end the Authority until that storyline changes down the road. But now we head to the Royal Rumble 2015, where John Cena is in a triple threat match with Seth Rollins and Brock Lesnar. And this is a great triple threat match. This was one of the first shows I watched with my wife. We were dating at the time, and this was one of the first shows we watched together. And she loved Brock, and she thought it was a great match, and was really kind of, I don't want to say hooked, but she was much more entertained than I think she thought she would be. And it was a big win for me that night. Lesnar wins the 3-way, but it is a fantastic match. Then shortly after the Rumble, we move to Cena and Rusev feuding for the U.S. title. Not just Cena Rusev, but also, of course, USA Russia. Rusev wins the first match by ref stoppage, and then Cena gets a rematch at WrestleMania 31, where Cena beats Rusev. Again, another one of those things where Should they have done it that way? Should Cena have gone over? Who knows? But that's what they did. So, and then Cena creates the U.S. Title Open Challenge. Cena creates, but they have the U.S. Title Open Challenge for Cena for several months after that. Lots of up-and-coming talent challenge Cena for the U.S. title. Sami Zayn comes up from NXT. Cesaro gets a shot 1 week. I think Zack Ryder gets a shot 1 week. Lots of great matches from Cena, beating this young talent, but great showings from them. And it worked out well. He does beat Rusev in a Russian chain match at Extreme Rules. And then Kevin Owens debuts, and in a stunning result at Elimination Chamber, Kevin Owens beats John Cena. It's not a title match, but he beats John Cena. Couldn't believe it. Of course, Cena gets to win back at Battleground because Cena's going to win. Kind of becoming like Hogan in the 80s. And then in a title versus title match at SummerSlam 2015, Seth Rollins, world champion, beats United States champion John Cena when Jon Stewart interferes, jumps Cena, and costs him the match. Again, WWE with the celebrities at its finest. Cena does get the U.S. title back at a Night of Champions when he beats Rollins, and then he loses it the next month at Hell in a Cell to the returning Alberto Del Rio. And then he takes another couple months off. He loses the belt so he can go take another couple months off to most likely film a movie of some sort. And this is kind of the beginning of part-time Cena. This is when he's gone for a while, comes back for a short time, gone for a while, comes back for a short time. So this is going to speed up our timeline a little bit here. He comes back to lose to AJ Styles at Money in the Bank 2015, which was huge for me because I'm a big AJ Styles guy too. So AJ beating Cena was pretty cool. And then Enzo and Cass and John Cena beat the Club at Battleground in a six-man tag that nobody cares about. AJ beats Cena again at SummerSlam. And then Cena's off for a while, mostly house shows. And then the Royal Rumble, he comes back and he wins his 16th world title, beating AJ Styles for the world title. And that's Cena's last title for a while because, of course, he's majorly part-time for a bit. But he does lose the belt to Bray Wyatt in the Elimination Chamber the next month in February. Then we jump forward to WrestleMania 33, where John Cena and Nikki Bella beat Maurice and The Miz in a tag match. That was atrocious. I rewatched it just like last year. It's really bad, really boring. And after the match, in a totally not at all planned situation that totally wasn't scripted, John Cena proposes to Nikki Bella. And somebody's going to have to tell me how that worked out. I mean, they got married, right? I don't know. I haven't seen. So somebody let me know what happened with John Cena and Nikki Bella, because there's no way they didn't get married after that totally real proposal at WrestleMania 8 years ago. And then we jump to Rusev and Cena in a flag match at Battleground, because I guess we're back to USA Russia stuff. Cena beats Baron Corbin at SummerSlam 2017. At No Mercy 2017, yet another instance of yours truly and his lovely wife being in the crowd. John Cena loses to Roman Reigns in a decent match. It wasn't great, but it was good. And another one of those passing of the torch moments. We jump ahead 2 months. Cena's on the losing SmackDown team at Survivor Series. Cena gets eliminated. He's like the final four in the 2018 Rumble when he gets eliminated. The Royal Rumble that eventually goes to Shinsuke Nakamura, I believe. Cena competes in but doesn't win the Elimination Chamber for the number one contender spot. Cena competes in but doesn't win a six-pack challenge for the WB title at Fastlane in 2018. And then we get the I Have No Road to WrestleMania story, where his last-ditch effort is he's going to challenge The Undertaker. So for weeks he comes out, calls out The Undertaker, gets no response. So he shows up as a fan and sits in the crowd for 2 or 3 matches, I think. And then, of course, it gets dark. The gong goes off. Cena runs to the back, comes back, runs to the back, and then eventually Undertaker shows up, squashes Cena in 2.5 minutes, and Cena's night at WrestleMania is over. The super popular, very memorable Greatest Royal Rumble features a match of John Cena versus Triple H in the AARP Club match there. And then we jump to WrestleMania 36, or the COVID WrestleMania. No fans, videotaped the week prior, and in the warehouse. John Cena faces Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse, the Fiend Bray Wyatt in the Firefly Funhouse match, which was super crazy and very weird, but very memorable for a lot of people. But yeah, Bray Wyatt beats John Cena in that match. It was like a very weird acid trip for wrestling fans. And then Cena's gone for quite a while. All through the rest of COVID, through the next year's WrestleMania, he's not there. And then at the end of SummerSlam 2021, at the end of Money in the Bank 2021, I believe it was, John Cena comes back and makes it clear he wants to challenge Roman Reigns for the world title at SummerSlam, at which he loses to Roman Reigns for the world title at SummerSlam. And then he's gone again. Comes back to challenge Austin Theory at WrestleMania for the U.S. title. Loses that too. And then comes back at Fastlane, the team with LA Knight to beat Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso after the bloodline had kind of broken up after 39. Solo Sikoa wrecks him at Crown Jewel 2023. And then he comes back at Money in the Bank in 2025 to announce that Money in the Bank 2024 to announce that 2025 will be his last year. And he shows up at Netflix's first Raw to announce how this is going to work. Shows up at the Rumble where he gets eliminated last by Jey Uso. Enters the Elimination Chamber, and this is where we can slow back down a bit because this is where things get nonsensical. He wins the Elimination Chamber to earn a match at WrestleMania against Cody Rhodes. Cody comes out, shakes his hand. Of course, this is the Cody, I want your soul thing. Cena turns heel with The Rock and that piece of human garbage Travis Scott in the ring. And it looks like we have a huge angle. It's The Rock, Travis Scott, and John Cena all leave together. And this looks like it's going to be a big deal. And then they do nothing with it. Nothing. I think The Rock didn't like exactly how it all went down and canned it, but they wanted to keep Travis Scott around, even though he's a piece of trash. But yeah, Cena turns heel, and there's hardly ever a mention again of The Rock, like ever. And then, of course, they're going to say, oh, plans changed or whatever. I think The Rock didn't like it and he canned it. And then they were stuck with what they had to do to turn Cena heel. So we get to WrestleMania 41. Travis Scott comes out, interferes in the main event like a prick, and in a terrible match. It was a bad main event. John Cena beats Cody Rhodes to win his 17th world title. And that's where the GOAT conversation comes from and all that. But it's easily one of the three worst main events at WrestleMania, main events of all time. I don't know. The show itself wasn't a terrible WrestleMania, but the main event was awful. And then he does his heel thing for a bit. He beats Truth. He beats Randy Orton. Teams with that piece of crap Logan Paul to lose to Rhodes and Jey Uso. And then just before SummerSlam, the Friday before their match on Sunday at SummerSlam, John Cena comes out and says, yeah, you remember all that stuff about me being a bad guy? Forget all that. Just forget it. And comes to SummerSlam as a good guy. Loses to John Cena, but stays a good guy. And then beats Logan Paul at Clash in Paris. Gets absolutely destroyed by Brock Lesnar, or by a returning Brock Lesnar at WrestlePalooza, which was awesome. He beats AJ Styles at Crown Jewel, I believe it was. And then he beats Dom in Boston on Raw to win his Grand Slam title, win the Intercontinental title. Loses the title back to Dom just a couple weeks later at Survivor Series. And now we're here. They had the tournament, John Cena and Gunther, after Gunther wins the tournament. And tonight, the match went too long. It was a little too much Super Cena for me with fighting off the chokeholds and stuff. But Gunther makes John Cena tap out to end the show. That's how it ends. That's how John Cena's storied, never quit career ends, is he taps out to Gunther in a sleeper at the end of Saturday night's main event. The show itself was kind of a nothing happening show. Really wasn't much to it. I didn't think the match was all that great. I love Gunther, but I kind of thought Cena was going to win. I was afraid they might have Cena beat Gunther on his way out, but Gunther tapped Cena after Gunther tapped Goldberg in his retirement match. So, well done WWE there. But that's a Reader's Digest version of the story of John Cena. I apologize for the video issues. I have had some issues with my computer. Hopefully I can edit those out to where they're minimal. But, yeah, that's the story of John Cena. Is John Cena the GOAT? I don't think John Cena is the GOAT. I think John Cena had a long tenure. I think John Cena is great. Like I said, probably overall GOAT status-wise, I would put him at 3 or 4, probably. You got to have Hogan in there. You got to have Austin in there. Maybe even like Flair and then Cena. I think that's probably the 4, just for their contributions and such. But Cena's definitely up there. I don't think Cena's the greatest of all time, but Cena's definitely up there. Yeah, that's John Cena. I loved John Cena, except for more towards the end, like 2015, 2016. I was kind of over it. But from 02 to probably 14, man, it was John Cena for me. And yeah, so it was a surreal night to watch him finish up, watch him walk out of there for the last time. But so, I mean, you're never going to see it, but thanks, John. It was awesome. Loved watching you. Loved being a part of your story. So, but yeah, with that, this is probably it for a while. The family and I are going on vacation next week. So I don't know if I'll watch the AEW pay-per-view, but I probably won't do a video. But I'll come up with something after I get back from vacation. We'll have another video out, but it'll be a little bit. But thank you so much for watching. I know this was a long one. I know the technical glitches in the middle are annoying, and I apologize for that. But thank you so much. I hope you made it to the end. I have some new subscribers. The last video was my biggest success yet, relatively speaking. But thank you so much for joining and helping this channel grow. Please continue to do so. Please like and subscribe. Subscribe to the channel, like the videos, comment, tell me what you think about Cena. Tell me that you think I suck at this whole video editing thing, whatever it is. Ricky, tell me that you think women's wrestling sucks. But please just comment, let me know. And thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.